missing someone. Love with all your heart. Missing someone. Love with heart.
What's up, guys? Welcome back to my channel. My name is Lauren. For those of you guys who are new, I go by Locks by Lauren on Instagram, and today I have a fun hair transformation on my coworker Vanessa. If you guys don't know Vanessa, she normally does my hair and she's done so many fun colors on my hair in the past, but today it's her turn to be the client and get some color done. We haven't touched her highlights in a very long time, so you can see they're pretty grown out, and so we're going to bring up some color and give her some dimension up on the top with some highlights, and then also tone everything to be a little bit more on the ashier blonder side. So Vanessa likes to cover her gray roots with some permanent color. So at her roots she has a base color of Faction 8. I believe it's like a level 5 and 6. But she doesn't use any natural, so it gives sort of a sheer coverage to her grays. And so I'm going in with some Pulp Bright Blonde AF lightener, and since I'm starting at the nape of the neck here, I did start off with some 15 volume. So I mix the Pulp Bright Blonde AF with 15 volume, and I like to mix my lightener about 1 to 2 to get like a nice thick consistency so that my foils don't slip, and I just like the way that it paints on the hair. I do find that Blonde AF takes a bit longer than other lighteners to lift, but it is extremely gentle on the hair. And so right now I'm just detailing Vanessa's hairline all around. I've done a few foils right at the nape, and now I'm taking a few more just around, following her hairline. That way when she puts her hair up, which I know she does a lot, she has color around her hairline, and it gives a nice pop all around. So as I'm highlighting the hairline and following her hairline, I don't want the hairline to be too bright when she puts her hair up, so that's why I'm just doing a couple foils around the hairline all around, just to give enough color, but I don't want it to be like too bold around the hairline, but just a little bit so that it frames and looks pretty when she puts her hair up. And as I'm doing my foils, if I feel like the root or wherever I'm painting the lightener on is more than half of the foil, I go ahead and just lay a new foil right on top, opposed to just folding that foil up, because I feel like if the root is pretty long and you start to fold up the foil, it kind of moves the lightener around and can make the lightener overlap onto any previous blonde. So I like to just be very careful and try to pick out any blonde hairs that I have previously highlighted last time, just to prevent any breakage or anything like that. So now that I'm done just kind of detailing the hairline a little bit, I go in and take a section. So right behind here, since she wants something really dimensional, I took about a little over an inch of a section and then took a very small slice on the top and then just started to highlight a very chunky weave. I like to tease the top of this because she wants it more on the rooty side and more dimensional. So I'm just picking up a little bit just to highlight the very top and leaving a lot more dimension, because again, I want to see that nice contrast in her balayage here. So it's important whenever your client wants those high contrast pops to leave a good amount of dimension within the hair. So again, here I'm taking about an inch section and then taking the top, weaving the top like a medium to chunky weave, and then teasing that and painting only on the parts that are dark. And now that I'm moving up closer towards the top of the head, as I go back and remix my Blonde AF, I do start to add a little bit more of a higher developer. And by the end of this, I do end up using just 20 volume throughout her whole head, just so that everything catches up. I always like to do a smaller developer when I first start off, and then increase it as I go so that everything kind of catches up. Now, I don't normally always tease my balayages, but I opted to tease Vanessa's hair because she wanted something more on the subtle side. So teasing it also creates more dimension, leaving a lot more dark in there as I'm teasing the hair. And then on top of that, it also gives a very soft grow out when the toner washes out and everything. She still has no line of demarcation. It's very soft and diffused when the toner washes out. So I go ahead and just continue this pattern throughout the top of her head, and when I'm doing and splitting these sections, I'm probably only doing like a 4 medium weave, and again teasing and just painting on the root of it wherever it's dark and leaving the ends out. And now as I get closer towards the top, my sections do get a little bit smaller. So before I started off taking about an inch, and now I'm taking about 3/4 of an inch, and not as much dimension here, just because I want to see a little bit more color on the top. This creates that more solid effect on the top, but when she curls her hair, she'll see a lot more dimension there. So as I get towards the sides, I am taking my sections horizontally and just right at the hairline. Since we are detailing the hairline, I'm not teasing it, and I'm just taking pretty much a normal weave all the way to the root so that she has a good amount of color. And since this is right around her face, I feel like everything that I foil above the ear in the front is kind of part of the money piece. So I generally like to do this part a little bit more solid and have this part be more highlighted than the back, so that there is that gradient and it does get a little bit darker as you get towards the back. So once I was done highlighting above her ear, I went ahead and moved on to her money piece. And for her money piece, we're wanting something a little bit on the bolder side. So I went ahead and did 2 slices back to back. And then I did 2 baby lights to help blend them in with the rest of the foliage pieces in the back. And then once I was done with the money piece, I went ahead and continued to detail the hairline with 2 baby lights right around, following her natural hairline. And then once I was done detailing her whole hairline, I went back to do the dimension on the very top. And so again, taking 3/4 of an inch of a section, leaving out the dimension from the bottom, and just taking that top slice and doing a medium to chunky weave while teasing the root of it, and then painting only what is dark. And just continuing the pattern all the way throughout the top until I got to the other side. And I generally processed her foils to about a level 9 before I toned her. For her toner, I'm going to be using the Pulp Bright Liquid Demi so that we can create a nice color melt and a nice ashy blonde tone. So for her liquid demi formulation, I opted to use 6-0 and 7-0 for the mid area. I wanted something that would give a nice melt, but is a little bit lighter than her base color to give some dimension there. So I already applied the root shadow all over, and I let that sit for about a minute before I started to go in with a lighter tone. I feel like toning is all about timing and where you place the color first, because wherever you place it first is where it's going to be the darkest. So when you're toning hair and you're very familiar with your color line, it's very important to know how long it takes for the tones to show up and what the processing time is. In this case, I started to apply the lighter tone on the mids a few minutes after the root shade. And for her lighter tone, I used 9-03 and 9-2. So I applied it on the mid, and then I like to let it sit for a bit and just comb it out towards the ends. I don't like to directly put the toner on the ends until the very end of right before I'm about to rinse, just because the ends tend to be a little bit more porous on clients that are already blonde. So the ends always tone a little bit quicker than freshly lightened hair. And here is Vanessa's end result. You can see that nice, beautiful, bold money piece with some dimension and subtle pops of highlights coming through softly towards her root. And the tone of her blonde is more of like a bronzy tone, giving it a nice ash finish with some hint of gold in there. I really like using the liquid demis because it makes my client's hair feel super soft and shiny. I don't know if you guys can tell, but her hair looks very healthy and very moisturized after using the liquid demi toners. Alrighty guys, so that is it for today's video. Thank you guys so much for watching and tuning in, and if you are new, don't forget to like and subscribe, and I will talk to you guys next week.